Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. To present here, I, Deepali Kamre, research scholar, Dr. Ambedkar Chair, Symbiosis International, Dean University. I warmly welcome you all to our special lecture, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Commemoration Month. The topic of the lecture is Constitutional Morality, Enduring Legacy of Babasaheb, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. To start the program with the introduction and welcome address, may I request to Dr. Hemangi Kadlak, Assistant Professor of Dr. Ambedkar Chair, Symbiosis International Dean University, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
First, I will set the context and welcome you, sir. uh, this is very important topic, and this is not only for common people, but most of the law professionals and whoever is in my contact, the lawyers, they already circulated sir's this flyer. And I think most of the people have joined online because they are from different parts of country, and because of this Saturday at the same time Christmas holiday and New Year, so like the presence is less. So I welcome the Sankar Bagchi sir for this lecture. Today's lecture is Constitutional Morality, Enduring Legacy of Babasaheb Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Sir only said this topic, and we got this opportunity that we will be here to hear he. First of all, I would give a brief introduction about our chair. Our chair is started from December 2023. This chair theme is Dr. Ambedkar's thought and contribution to education in India. And Symbiosis is the first private university. There are 25 chairs across India. This chair has come from Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and they have started Dr. Ambedkar Foundation, and Dr. Ambedkar Foundation has started Dr. Ambedkar Chair across India. So this is a 23rd chair here in Symbiosis. And we have two WhatsApp groups. One is for common people and one is for students, those who are interested to be a part of our chair updates. So they can give their mobile number to me or my two PhD scholars. So they will enroll you in the WhatsApp group. So that is the thing. And here, first, I would like to welcome Professor Subrata Bagchi sir. At the same time, I would like to welcome Surendra Jokta sir. He's always there. He's like our family member now. Whenever I call sir, this is the program. So he will be chairing the session. So I will give us a token of our appreciation and gratitude to the sir. So our memento and the book. So I would like to give to sir. This.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So I will set the context and then I can invite sir for a talk. So good afternoon, everyone. What our preamble says, we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and secure to all its citizens. These opening words of the preamble to our constitution capture the essence of our national vision, a vision grounded in justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. The Constitution of India is not merely a legal document, it is a moral, political, and compass of our democracy. It governs our everyday lives, guiding our rights, our duties, our conduct as citizens. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar envisioned it as a living document meant to shape the conscience of a nation and uphold the dignity of every individual. If we truly wish to see India progress socially, economically, and ethically, we must begin by understanding the principles on which it stands. For that, constitutional education must be integrated into our school curricula, not as a subject of memorization, but as a way of learning how to live together with equality, respect, and responsibility. The strength of our democracy lies in how well each generation understands and practices the spirit of the Constitution. Teaching it early is not just an education, but it is a nation building. Dr. Ambedkar delivered a speech titled The Constitution and Social Revolution in 1949, where he introduced the concept of constitutional morality. This concept has since become a cornerstone of Indian democracy and governance. The Dr. Ambedkar's concept of constitutional morality has been interpreted in various ways, but it essentially means a commitment to the Constitution and its values. It implies a willingness to abide by the law and respect the rights of others, regardless of one's personal beliefs or affiliations. It also requires a willingness to engage in constructive dialogue, debate, and even where there are disagreements. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you to all to today's lecture on constitutional morality, enduring legacy of Babasaheb Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The theme was reflecting on today's is one of the most profound contributions of Dr. Ambedkar's to modern India. The idea of constitutional morality, which calls upon us to uphold justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity, not merely as constitutional provisions, but as guiding principles of our collective life. To enlighten us on this significant subject, we are deeply honored to have with us Professor Subrata Sankar Bagchi, uh, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Chair Professor in the Department of Anthropology, University of Calcutta. To chair this session, we have an esteemed Professor Surendra Jogdal Sir with us. Sir is a former professor of political science, Mumbai University. Professor Bagchi sir is an eminent social anthropologist whose research and teaching span a wide range of issues including development, social exclusion, urban poverty, marginalization, child labor, human rights, and qualitative research methodology with a strong ethnographic approach. He has previously served as the principal of Bangabasi College and as a visiting professor at the University of Ottawa, and has led several major funded research projects on tribal development, backward communities, and the gut microbiome of tribal populations. Professor Bagchi has published more than 40 research papers in national and international journals and has authored and edited 7 books. Along with numerous chapters in edited volumes, his scholarship reflects both analytical rigor and a deep commitment to social justice. He has been recognized internationally as a Fellow of the Royal Asiatic Society of Great Britain and Ireland and the Royal Anthropological Institute, and has actively participated in academic forums, human rights engagements, and the international conferences across Europe, North America, and Asia. On behalf of Dr. Ambedkar Chair, Symbiosis International Deemed University, Pune, I extend a warm welcome to Professor Bagchi sir to express our deep gratitude for delivering his important talk. We are privileged to have you, sir, with us. With that, I now invite Professor Bagchi sir to deliver his lecture on constitutional morality, enduring legacy of Babasaheb Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Thank you.
Oh. Thank you, Dr. Hemangi Katlak, and the Symbiosis University for inviting me here. Actually, I want to give a lecture or deliver a lecture on constitutional morality. It is something that is the essence of our constitution, of every constitution, so to speak, and the legacy of Babasaheb Ambedkar in the constitutional morality is very important. The Indian constitution is actually built upon the morality of its essence, and it goes beyond the personal morality. Time and again, Indian constitution proved that it can withstand any sort of challenges of personal morality over its constitutional morality. That's my in gist. That's my lecture. Now, what is constitutional morality? First, it refers to the principles and values underlying a constitution. As we all know, that Indian constitution has some underlying principles and values, and to hold that from a moral position is the constitutional morality. It guides actions of government and citizenry. I mean, Indian constitution has always been a guide of the government and citizenry. It was first coined by classicist George Grote in 19th century. And I don't have that time, or I don't want to dwell extensively on Grote's hypothesis, but this was basically the kind of thinking which by Grote, which enabled that, well, every constitution should have a moral framework. That was Grote's position, and it was first used in India by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the father of our constitution. Now, one thing I must tell you, that and Babasaheb also told, that it is not kind of automatic. It is not a kind of ingrained thing. It requires conscious cultivation. And otherwise, without that conscious cultivation, the constitutional morality can really wane. And it's not a natural sentiment, it's a practice. Let's say we have very good publications, or we have very good books in our house, and we don't read those, or we don't practice those things. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't have any meaning for constitutional morality. If it is written there and it is not practiced, it doesn't have any meaning. That was the sentiment. That was the idea of Babasaheb Ambedkar. It requires conscious and continuous cultivation. Now, first thing is that, what were the framework of Ambedkar's constitutional morality? First is self-reliance. Self-reliance means it is a belief that the conflicts will be resolved within the constitutional framework, not through revolutionary or agitational methods. Don't get me wrong, Babasaheb was not against agitation, but believe should be there in constitution, that it will be resolved. If it is not resolved, then of course the path of agitation is always there. Path of agitation is always there. He didn't say that, well, discard agitation. He said that first abandon that kind of idea that you will have to go to the streets. Let us have a faith in our constitution. Then if it is not fulfilled, you can go and have agitation. Second is respect for plurality. I mean, that's the core idea of Indian constitution. You must have a pluralistic thinking, pluralistic idea, multivocality should be there. It rejects authoritarian claims to singular representation of popular will. It is at the core of Indian constitution. And deference to processes. Now, if you have a trust in constitutional procedure, if you have a faith in constitutional procedure, you must have deference to the process. So trust in constitutional procedure over personalities and instant appeals has always been Babasaheb's idea. And of course, another very important issue, and it's very important, culture of criticism. Parliament should act as a platform for daily assessment and checks on executive power. That's important. Parliament should be a platform where criticism should be there. Without criticism, no democracy will ever be able to thrive. So daily assessment, checks and balances on executive power. That's important. The power of parliament is supreme, he said. Now, he said, and I quote here, constitutional morality is not a natural sentiment. It's one of the most famous quotation. It has to be cultivated. We must realize that our people have yet to learn it. I mean, he said that. It is not undermining the intelligence or the knowledge of the common people. It is said that we are not used to that kind of practice. So we need to have constant practice, and it has to be cultivated over and over again, time and again, every day. So that was his idea of constitutional morality, and it was a speech, one of the greatest quote I felt in the Constituent Assembly speech in November 1948. What are the core pillars of constitutional morality? First is constitutional values: justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. So these are the core values of our constitutions. Now, another very important issue is that constitutional morality actually entails rule of law. Everyone subject to and accountable under law. It was Babasaheb's idea, and that rule of law should extend to everybody in this country, including the top brass of our country. So that was his idea of constitutional morality. Another very important issue is democratic principles. Without the citizens' participation and accountability, no democracy can actually survive or thrive. So democratic principle are one of the most important pillars of constitutional morality from Babasaheb's perspective and from the point of view of Indian Constitution. And of course, as we all know, the fundamental rights is another important constitutional or core pillar of constitutional morality, protection of equality, freedom, and liberty. Another very important issue or core pillar of constitutional morality is the separation of power. Balance and separation between legislative, executive, and judicial branches. So, legislative should not overpower the judicial branches. Executive should not overpower or overwhelm rather the legislative, or for that matter, judicial branches should not overwhelm the legislative or executive. So that was his idea of constitutional morality. Without this separation of power, the constitutional morality doesn't exist. Checks and balances. There are enough checks and balances in Indian constitutions to prevent abuse of power and protect rights of the citizens, rights of the common people. So the checks and balance of the legislative, executive, and judicial branches are always there, so that none of these three pillars actually can abuse power or rather abuse the rights of the common people. Constitutional interpretation is another very important issue. We must interpret from its morality point of view what was underlying there when Babasaheb Ambedkar wrote, or rather the Constitutional Assembly delivered on a particular issue of Indian Constitution, how the interpretation should be on that basis, to promote principles while adapting to societal needs. You can change Constitution. You can change it, but underlying features should be the interpretation that was there in when they incepted the Indian Constitution. Otherwise, you cannot really break it from your point of view. That should be the point of view of the morality, the constitutional morality that was there during the initial period of Indian Constitution. And societal needs may change. Constitution may have some amendments, but it doesn't really, it cannot really overpower or rather overwhelm or change the constitutional interpretation that was given by the father of Constitution. And of course, ethical governance. Another very important issue is the ethical governance. Transparency, accountability, integrity should be there. That is at the core of Indian Constitution. You read any part of Indian Constitution, you will find these three. And the basis of all the articles are these three ethical guidelines: transparency, accountability, and integrity. Constitutional morality in Indian Constitution. Here I must tell you that it is not explicitly named, but it is inherent in Indian constitutional architecture. So our preamble, it's justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. It's there, and it is the basis of constitutional morality of Indian Constitution. Part 3 of the fundamental rights as inviolable code, and Part 4, directive principles guide state action, nation's action. So directive principle is always there, and you know that Babasaheb was and entire constitutional committee was such a kind of visionary. Many of the provisions in directive principles are now part of our rights. So they actually envisage the future. So that's how directive principle is very important as a part of Indian constitution and morality. And of course, Supreme Court doctrine, the basic structure cannot be amended. The famous case that I will come here. Basic structure of Indian constitution cannot be violated or amended. And in they struck down 3 amendments. Supreme Court struck down 3 amendments, constitutional amendments. So here you are. There is a kind of crisis in India. Well, since our freedom, since the inception of Indian Constitution, so here the basic debate is whether the personal morality, public morality should prioritize the constitutional morality. No. Constitutional morality is rooted in constitutional values, as I said, justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. It transcends transient public opinion. It transcends. It doesn't always deny public opinion, but it transcends. It goes beyond public opinion. It protects minority rights. Public morality, on the other hand, actually reflects societal customs and majority preferences. It may discriminate against minorities, insufficient basis of restricting rights. So public morality can infringe on the constitutional morality. The famous case of Section 377, decriminalizing the Section 377. Here it was clearly mentioned that constitutional morality is not equal to public morality. So decriminalizing LGBTQ rights, LGBTQ practices, or rather 377, was one of the landmark decisions of Supreme Court, where again it was proved that constitutional morality is supreme. Same is true for Sabrimala case. Constitutional morality is supreme, and public morality cannot really take over constitutional morality. These days, we must actually consciously try to give this thing, or this kind of knowledge, or this kind of practice more importance than any other thing. So, landmark judgments, Keshavananda Bharati case, you all know this case. Here, Supreme Court actually ordered that, well, Parliament can amend Constitution but cannot alter the fundamental framework, limiting its amending power under Article 368, and held the amendments 24th, 25th, and 29th Amendment invalid. That was one of the most landmark cases, and it actually decided, or rather, it actually fixed. It actually fixed the limit of the executive and limit of the judiciary. Legislative, executive, and judiciary. And of course, another very important case is that first judge's case. We have also second judge's case, I mean, here Supreme Court actually did not explicitly use that phrase violation of morality, but rather highlighted how a constitutional bench, such as executive interference in judicial appointments, violated the fundamental principles of judicial independence, which is a core facet of constitutional morality and rule of law. So in the second judge's case, we have found the Supreme Court initiated the collegium practice. So it was another landmark case upholding the value of constitutional morality. Another major case is Manoj Narula case. Its adherence of constitutional norms, constitutional expectation for ethical leadership. Supreme Court ruled that no legal bar in appointing ministers with criminal antecedents, but advised the Prime Minister to avoid selecting those charged with serious or heinous offenses. So they actually gave a kind of idea of constitutional morality. They said that, well, it says that, well, Prime Minister should have constitutional morality in mind while appointing his ministers, particularly those with serious or heinous offenses. Sabrimala case, another very important case. It overrides equality overrides religious customs. Constitutional morality prevails over social practice. Here, Supreme Court struck down Tempu's ban of women of menstruating age from 10 to 50 from entering, declaring practice unconstitutional, as it violated the fundamental rights of equality, Article 14 and Article 15, and freedom of religion, Article 25. In 4:1 decision, the court ruled that discriminatory customs based on purity cannot override constitutional principles, sparking nationwide debate, sometimes agitation, protests, but ultimately upholded, Supreme Court upholded constitutional morality over patriarchal religious traditions. That's very important decision. Now, other landmark cases are the electoral bond scheme. Constitutional morality requires transparency in political funding. Anonymity violates constitutional values, and legislative immunity for bribes. Another very important case, constitutional morality limits parliamentary privileges. Corruption cannot hide behind immunity. So these are the two cases, very recent cases, recent landmark cases that gave once again put constitutional morality in a kind of supreme position as far as Then what are the challenges that we can face in constitutional morality? First, as we all familiar with, political interference. Threats to institutional independence, appointments, budgets, autonomy. I don't want to expand this, but it's always been there. It is now. It is now, and it has always been there. Judicial activism versus restraint, another very important challenge. Courts balancing separation of power with rights protection. Judicial activism is another big threat to constitutional morality. Enforcement gap, another very important, is that delayed or rather relaxed implementation and limited public awareness on the rights can be a big challenge to constitutional morality. Social structure impediments, another very important issue. Religious convictions, territorial divisions dilute constitutional adherence. The mobocracy that we see, that's really a challenge. challenges to constitutional morality. So, Ambedkar warned against this kind of practices. He said, and I quote, "Democracy in India is like top dressing on an Indian soil, which is essentially undemocratic." He said it. India has been, as far Ambedkar is concerned, India hasn't been democratic, neither father or mother of democracy. So that was his idea. And he said that, well, it's top dressing on an Indian soil, which is not essentially, which is not essentially democratic. These three are the most important challenges. One is blind devotion risk. Political movements that abandon constitutional methods lead to dictatorship. He warned about it. It requires cultivation. Constitutional morality not innate, needs active commitment from citizens and leaders. If it is not from leaders, then citizens should have active commitment on it. Both sides should be accountable. Ruling and opposition parties must adhere to constitutional law. Both sides should be accountable. So he said, and I quote, it's one of the most, what should I say, debatable sort of quotation. "If I find constitution being misused, I shall be the first person to burn it." Wish he was here today. So that was his quotation. Nobody else said burning of constitution. Not the Maoist, not the other people. He said that I will burn the constitution if it is misused. So that was Babasaheb. So what could be the way forward? First thing is that we need to strengthen institutions. Judicial independence, transparent appointments, and budgetary allocation. All three sometimes find kind of challenges in Indian constitution, Indian process, which is judicial independence, transparent appointments, I'm again repeating it, budgetary autonomy. Budgetary autonomy is going, budgetary autonomy in some amendments, particularly Lokpal, in Lokpal amendment, we have seen the budgetary autonomy has gone. So if the budgetary autonomy has gone, then the autonomy has gone. That was his idea. To ensure judicial independence by insulating courts from political and executive pressure. That's one of the biggest challenges these days. How we will be able to insulate courts from political and executive pressure? Another very important issue is that promote transparent and merit-based appointments. Merit not in the sense of reservation. Merit means that, well, whether the person knows it or not, whether that person has that kind of capability to run it. Don't put merit in the kind of
in the kind of reservation.
Reservation issue. Merit is a different thing.
Even if he is from reservation, he should be capable of understanding.
Yeah, he should be capable of understanding that. As our chief judge, chief justice, Gawai was there. He is from the Dalit background, but well, he is capable to understand. Except Aravali.
There are
case. I support it. I supported Gawai.
There are a lot of people.
There are a lot of people.
But most of them, they're not getting chance to go up there.
Yeah, of course. It's a kind of coterie. If you see the judge, I mean, judiciary, you will see the higher caste and other people are there, and they are getting selected over and over again.
That colleges.
Collegium system actually, I mean, I don't advocate the abolition of collegium system. That would be disastrous. But well, collegium system also actually nourishes the kind of casteist sort of thing. Huh? That's true. I mean, whether I will be taken away by the police or not, I really don't know. But that's really the thing. Being an academic, I must say, and the caste profile of the Supreme Court judges and the High Court judges, you'll be able to see how many people from SC and ST. ST is possibly not there. I have seen, I don't know. Being an anthropologist by profession, I always try to find where are the STs there. Tribal people are there. No, possibly, no. I will have to.
Actually, they are not maintaining it. Otherwise, the design is like that. The total society, each part of person should represent there.
Yeah, of course.
But they are not practicing.
Everywhere, almost everywhere. So the merit, I don't believe in that kind of merit. Okay, but well, merit-based appointment is constitutional bodies such as Judiciary, Election Commission, and vigilance institutions. It doesn't need any expansion rather. Guarantee financial and administrative autonomy to key institutions so they can function without undue influences. If you go against me, I will dry up your fund. That kind of high-handedness is not possible where the financial autonomy or budgetary autonomy is there. And these days, we can see less and less financial autonomy, budgetary autonomy in different institutions. And of course, reinforce checks and balances to prevent concentration or abuse of power. It has been there. It has been there in Indian constitutions. But the interpretation sometimes, I must tell you, interpretation sometimes is actually, I should say, outlandish in some places. People can say that, we are not mandated to give you that kind of information. That kind of thing is there. I'm not. I have the power to make rule, so I must make a rule to destroy the evidences after 45 days.
That they have recently changed all those.
Yeah, of course, they have recently changed, of course. But this is the concentration and abuse of power. Okay. So strengthening institution is of primeval importance in India to maintain the constitutional morality. Another very important issue is that promoting civic education. Constitutional ethics in schools, civil service training, everywhere should be there. So everywhere, you should integrate constitutional values, rights and duties into schools, college and university curricula. That should be there. Train civil servants, police and public officials. They are trained, but they sometimes do something else after they get the posts in constitutional ethics and democratic accountability. This happens. I feel that the practice is not there. It is, as Babasaheb said, that it's not a natural sentiment. I have learned many things, but when I am a kind of IPS officer, I can violate everything. And the more I know, more easily I can violate. That's the rule that has become the rule these days. Encourage public awareness through workshops. Well, we must. Community programs and digital platforms. foster respect for diversity, equality, liberty, and fraternity as living constitutional principles. That should be there. I mean, our constitution is a live constitution. So, in this live constitution, diversity, equality, liberty, and fraternity should always be respected. And everything the executive, judiciary, or the parliament does should be based on these principles, not in other sort of things. Third way I propose that should be enhance access to justice, because there is an act, Prevention of Atrocities Act against SCs and STs. How many people, if you actually see the cases, you will see that, well, where it is most needed, you won't find any instances, many instances. It is possibly needed in the UP, MP, Chhattisgarh, and Haryana, these states. Okay, I'm not taking away anything from these states, but possibly these states. So, if you see the cases, you will find where the most of the cases are from Maharashtra, West Bengal, where a part of elite from that community actually harassing people. Sometimes, not all the cases are same, but sometimes it is same. And most of the cases are getting quashed. And in the coming days, I afraid, it's a very important act. I afraid it will have the same fate as 498A. Because of the, I won't say random use, I mean, those who need it most. I mean, because Supreme Court has given various safeguards, various riders on this case. For a true perpetrator, true criminal, true offense, who has done real offense, they will scot-free. They will go scot-free. So that is the problem with Indian judiciary. That is the problem with Act. So this access to justice should be there. And we must expand legal aid service. I have seen legal aid service closely in West Bengal, in Kolkata. That shouldn't be there. I mean, the way they treat the poor people, I mean, in most cases, I must say that, well, and they actually don't get any justice, legal aid. They have to spend some money. So what is the use of having such a legal aid services? I'm not sure about the legal aid services here. There are, I mean, poor people, real disadvantaged people don't get service from legal aid services in most cases. Not in all cases, but in most cases, particularly for the marginalized and vulnerable communities. I have seen many people who has come with kind of rugged trace to the legal aid service. They don't even enter into the office. So one of my students have worked on this legal aid services, how they are getting service. I found that the middle class people like me getting more services than the disadvantaged people from the rural Bengal or from the Bastis and other people. No, I mean, that's the problem. We must enhance access to justice, reduce Judicial delays, I don't know how to reduce it, but by addressing case backlogs through better infrastructure and judicial capacity. Let's say I have been a victim of atrocities. If it takes 15 years to have a kind of final judgment, what's the use of the judicial system? You can't really, I mean, within that period, I can be subject of abuse for number of times. It happened. It happened in India various times. I'm not going to mention any case here, but well, a minority got gang raped for a week or so, and then his father was killed, and then he has got bail, and the criminal component of his case has been erased by the court. Delay and the proper justice should be there. Promote alternative dispute resolution like Lok Adalat and other things, but Lok Adalat is not that effective. Lok Adalat is mostly effective in the motor vehicle violation acts. Okay, we always, in Kolkata, I don't file the, I don't give the fines, and one Lok Adalat, I get the half of the things. That, of course, that's the way I take advantage of this Lok Adalat. We take advantage of this Lok Adalat. But Lok Adalat should be for the poor and vulnerable people. I have seen Lok Adalat. I have been what in anthropological terms called participant observer of this Lok Adalat. For 1 year, I haven't given any fine. I went to Lok Adalat just to see what kind of things are there. Okay. Found that people like me are going to Lok Adalat and actually reducing their fines and taking advantage of that. So ADR, alternative dispute resolution mechanism, should be there. I mean, it's true that in courts, there are so many cases of, let's say, land dispute, let's say, the quarrel and other things. That should be solved through this ADR, mediation and arbitration. And of course, these days we are using technology. That's a very good thing. We must use technology, e-courts, virtual hearings to make justice more accessible and efficient. Another of my proposal, another way of that I propose that we can uphold the constitutional morality is the ethical leadership cultivation. What is that? Here, I am advocating something which is possibly not possible, not probable. I won't say not probable, possible, it's possible in Indian system now. It actually encourages integrity, transparency, and accountability among political leaders and public officials. It might listen like a kind of gospel, but it is possible. It is possible. It is not. We don't see it probable sometimes, but it's possible. Uphold constitutional propriety in governance rather than majoritarian or populist impulses. That's very important. Strengthen ethical standards and consequences for misconduct in public office. That's another very important issue. And of course, reinforce Ambedkar's vision of morality as the foundation of constitutional democracy. We must not forget, or rather, I should say, we must not be oblivious to his his contribution at any point of time, his vision of morality, we must reinforce time and again as the foundation of our constitutional democracy. Another proposal, another of my proposed way forward is responsive participation, where citizens actually be encouraged to actively participate in democratic processes beyond voting. Now the SIR has led us to a kind of interest in voting. But beyond voting, we have many such roles. We don't perform those roles. That's why the so-called misdirected politicians gets advantage. Promote constitutional literacy so that people can claim rights responsibly and lawfully. You know, in West Bengal, I used to do this thing. I won't be able to do this thing any further because of the change of the law. You know, in this Manrega system, you have 100 days of job guarantee. In some parts of West Bengal, the situation is very bad. I must tell you that, well, that's a very arid zone. You don't have agriculture. So whenever I go to field work, for ethnography field work, I always make it a point that I will have to give something back to the community. What is that thing that I gave back repeatedly in many villages in West Bengal? That I actually drafted letters on behalf of those people that I need a job. I don't have any job, I need a job, and I tell them to give it a video and have a kind of receipt copy. Within 15 days, you will have to give a job to him, or you will have to give equal wages to him. I won't be able to do that now because of the change of the law, but it happened. So people can be aware, can make aware, or we can promote this constitutional literacy to the act. It was a kind of activism. We always do that at the fag end of our field work because there will be kind of political interference and other things. So we just, after receiving their letter, we just pack up and flee. So that's the way it is. Otherwise, we might get stuck there and we'll have some other problems. But we used to do that. This is how we can promote constitutional morality from everybody. You can, those who are listening to this, everybody can do something from his own position. You won't have to be kind of full-time activist. You can do these small things which can change the landscape of that area and support civil society, media, and grassroots movements that defend constitutional values and foster dialogue, decent and peaceful engagement as democratic strengths. This is another way forward that I find. Another way forward, I must maintain it that, well, I find it very disturbing that constitutional morality is not that much of a kind of favorite subject for lecture or something like that, or people don't really stress that much on constitutional morality, as if it is kind of there, there, and it will remain. It will remain there, right? It's a continuous practice that we want to do. Adapt to challenges. Now, technological governance, institutional, environmental concerns, social dynamism should also be there. So apply constitutional morality to technological governance, including data protection and AI regulation. That should be there because technological governance has become one of the most important issues these days. Whether our privacy should be compromised on the basis of some perceived national cause, or whether it should remain protected. So data protection and AI regulation is very important, and this is we cannot really ignore these days. Address environmental justice and sustainability as part of constitutional responsibility. So that's important. In Aravali case, you find that, well, it's very near to your state. I mean, it's part of your state rather. So Aravali case has given that, well, we must address environmental justice and sustainability as an issue. Respond to social dynamism, changing identities, inequalities, and aspirations without diluting constitutional ideas. That's important. I mean, we must respond to this social dynamism through, where changing identities, inequalities, and aspirations are there. Once again, my anthropological knowledge says that, well, let's say Aravali case. In Aravali, possibly court wanted to say that Aravali should be like this. It's good for the people who live around Aravali. It's same old European logic. They should be like us, it's good for them. Okay, so once again, it is diluting constitutional ideas. This kind of judgments, this kind of activities actually diluting the constitutional ideas. So it must ensure we'll have to ensure constitution remains a living document rather than a dead one. For us, for many of us, constitution has become a kind of document. It should be there in our bookcase, bookshelf, like, let's say, in Bengal, it's Rabindra Rachanavali, the writings of Rabindranath Tagore is everybody's bookshelf. Nobody reads it. Nobody can read the entire Rabindranath. Nobody can read. It's 18 or 20 volumes. So this is this big. So maybe the Mozart's music, all those things should be there in the bookshelf, and it's not a living constitution. We should strive, we should ensure that it should be a living constitution, and it can guide the future generations. Our fathers of constitution actually were very futuristic. You can see that, or if we honestly try to find answers of today's problem, you will find it from Indian constitution itself. Except this kind of data protection and AI regulations, which nobody could perceive, nobody could actually envisage during 1948, 48, 49, or 40, 46, 47, 48, 49. Otherwise, everything is there. It's a living document, and we must try to protect this living document, and we must practice relentlessly. So true source of rights is duty. If we all discourage our duties, right will not be far to seek. That's another very important quotation. So we always talk about rights. We're also talking about duties. After Indira Gandhi, the duty has become part of Indian Constitution, but it was there inherently in Indian Constitution. So duty should be there. If we don't do our duty, let's say I have done some of my duties in the Indian villages by claiming jobs for those people. I never made video. I only encourage them to go to the BDO's office and have a kind of receipt copy. I have done the duty. So the rights of those people have become enforced. Okay? A living commitment to constitutional values transcending popular opinion, protecting minority rights, ensuring institutional checks, cultivating ethical governance through conscious adherence to constitutional processes. I mean, this is, you can see that the great man could see everything, everything, transcending popular opinion. He was possibly meaning to Hindu Code Bill, which he failed. Not he failed, his surroundings failed. But well, you will have to be, if you are a true leader, you will have to transcend popular opinion, not ignore. Transcend popular opinion, protect minority rights. Okay, so, and of course, immediately after the partition, before partition, it has been a kind of hellish situation. But after partition, the minority rights were well protected. But he could see that this ghost will reemerge in some way or other in future. So he said, protecting human rights, ensuring institutional checks, another very important issue, because during that time, of course, the government during that time was quite good at ensuring institutional checks, but he could see that such a thing may happen in future. And cultivating ethical governance through conscious adherence to constitutional processes. So that was his idea of constitutional morality. So how Ambedkar's enduring legacy can really give us an idea of constitutional morality these days. Constitutional morality remains the moral compass guiding India's democratic experiment, a framework that power respects constitutional limits, minorities find protection, and citizens internalize democratic ethics. From Constituent Assembly debates to contemporary Supreme Court verdicts, you could see that constitutional morality has been the center of judgment, a beacon of institutional integrity and ethical governance should be there, and the soul of India's constitutional order should be maintained. The nature of Indian constitution should be maintained at any cost. That was his legacy, and we should respect his enduring legacy. Democracy is not merely a form of government. It is primarily a mode of associated living and conjoint communicated experience. So it's not merely a government. We elect government. And we think that, well, our job is done and dusted. Okay, so this is not the issue. It's, I mean, if we just leave everything to the elected government, the constitutional morality won't really persist. So it's a kind of associated living. Can you see the essence of it? Associated living. Our goal is same, to maintain democracy in India. So we are not separate people. Even if we don't know each other, we must have an associated living, otherwise democracy won't thrive. And conjoint communicated experience. We must communicate with each other and conjoined kind of conjoin these things. That's very important. He is a true visionary. Whenever I read him, I get kind of, I mean, it's still a kind of learning experience for me. Everywhere when I reread the quotation, I find myself a kind of new finding. This quotation is everywhere. If you just go if you just go into the meaning of this thing, deep into what he wanted to say, you could see that. If we get separated in our vision, democracy won't thrive. It's a kind of associated living, conjoint, communicated experience. Thank you. Yes. Yeah. Shall I sit there?
Thank you, Professor Bagchi sir, for your valuable and inspiring speech. Now I request our chairperson. I hand over the session to our chairperson, Professor Surendra Zondare sir. Over to you, sir.
Friends, at the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Hemangi Kallar for inviting me to chair this brilliant talk delivered by Professor Bagchi. You know, in today's times, this subject, this theme of constitutional morality is very, very important. So I would like to congratulate Professor Bagchi for taking up this issue, taking up this theme in the contemporary times when the constitutional morality is in crisis. And the issues which he has raised, they are really pertinent in the sense that what is happening around and what is we are witnessing, it is more relevant, it is more meaningful. There are problems of governance and lastly, when he was talking about the constitutional democracy, now it has transformed into the electoral democracy. So whether we are really following the legacy of Dr. Ambedkar, that is a big question today. Whether this constitutional morality, the principle of constitutional morality, which was the philosophy of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar's politics. So whether we are really carrying forward this legacy, this principle, this theme, this idea, this concept, this philosophy in contemporary times. And when there are challenges to constitutional democracy, which we have been experiencing since last few years, it is again and again important to highlight this philosophy, this principle, this theme of constitutional democracy. Why it is important, why it is significant, why it is, again, meaningful. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar had already warned about the necessity of the constitutional morality. And he had also quoted in his brilliant talk. Babasaheb had said constitutional morality is not a natural sentiment. It has to be cultivated. We must realize that our people have yet to learn it. Democracy in India is only a top dressing on an Indian soil which is essentially undemocratic. This last sentence is more important when we talk about the importance or significance of the constitutional morality. Because as you know that Indian Constitution is not a sacred text, and as Professor Bagchi has rightly said, it is a living text. It is a document of lived experiences. And you will find in different legal provisions, there is a discourse on social justice in the Indian Constitution. But we are living in an unequal world. Why we have to talk? Why we have to give importance to the principle of constitutional morality? Because we are living today, and we have been living, in fact, not only today, we have been living in an unequal world where there is a violence, there is a discrimination, inequality, there is a segregation, hatred, exploitation, injustice, disadvantages, exclusion, prejudices, hierarchy, and whatnot. So, when we are living in this an unequal world, then we must ask two questions. Has the Indian Constitution served the task of social transformation? Whether the court has had any major systematic impact for redressing the structural inequality, or it has really served consistently against discrimination. If we are not in position to answer these two questions, then we'll have to remember that what Dr. Ambedkar had said, why he had insisted about the principle of constitutional morality. As Professor Bagchi has rightly said, that he was the first thinker, political leader, constitutionalist who talked about the primacy of constitutional morality. Because he was why he said like that? Because Ambedkar represents an Enlightenment thinker. The values which were talked, discussed, debated in the Enlightenment period, he cherished those ideals, those values, those principles. But at the same time, we have to also see that when he was talking about the virtues of parliamentary democracy, he also talked about the disadvantages or the limitations or, the problems in the parliamentary democracy when it is functioning. He also wrote on Marxism. So he talked about state socialism. He had his own views, criticism regarding Marxism. But when he was talking about the virtues and the plus points of parliamentary democracy, he was also mentioning, as just now I said, that he was talking about the limitations, inadequacies of parliamentary democracy. Why he was talking like that? I feel that it's my opinion that there is somewhat tension between his views or his understanding or his opinions regarding the parliamentary democracy and Marxism. So at one level, he's critical of parliamentary democracy, what are its disadvantages, and at the same time, he was also offering the critique of Marxism. So this kind of tension is reflected in his thinking, in his ideas, and because of that, he was talking about the constitutional morality. Whether this Indian constitutional project, when the proposed constitutional provisions were discussed in the Constituent Assembly debates. That time, this project was considered as a social revolution. And for some, it was also the political project. But why it was some people felt, some leaders or some thinkers in the Constituent Assembly, they were also not only leaders, but they had their own vision of future of India. They felt that, and for this Indian Constitution, there is a legacy of nationalist movement. And in the nationalist movement, there were leaders, there were political parties, there were different organizations which were, projecting, which were manifesting different political ideologies, social ideologies. So there is a definite context for the insistence of constitutional morality, because the ideas, values, principles which were, projected, which were talked during the course of the Indian national movement, they were reflected in the framework of Indian Constitution. And why Ambedkar was talking about this constitutional morality, because when we talk about constitutionalism, it means that it signifies a politics of restraint, because everything should operate in the framework of the constitutional provisions. In each and every act, each and every movement, each and every functioning of political or social organization, it should be in the framework of the political, in the framework of constitution. And because of that, Dr. Ambedkar talked about this constitutional liberalism. And this constitutional liberalism was based on moral social order. He tried to frame his vision of the practice of constitutional provisions in the ethical dimension of democracy. So morality, ethics, these principles were dominant in his thinking. And because of that, Ambedkar felt that morality, in the sense of social ethics, it was indispensable for the realization of liberty and equality. This was his concern. And because of that, he insisted for the constitutional methods. When during the national movement, you know that there were different movements, agitations, non-cooperation movement, disobedience movement, satyagrahas. These strategies were adopted by the Indian national movement. But Ambedkar had reservations about those strategies or those practices. He felt that this is nothing but the grammar of anarchy. And in the future India, whether these strategies should be adopted or not, that was the grave concern for him. And because of that, he talked about this principle of constitutional morality. So he was saying that it is not enough to have the legal provisions. Any constitution is not enough to have these legal provisions. What is more important is the spirit of constitutional morality, the spirit of constitutional democracy. This was his concern. And as Professor Bagchi said, that he borrowed that idea of this concept of constitutional morality from the Grote. So when Ambedkar turned to Grote, he was talking about the constitutional practices which were necessary in the independent India. And he felt that if constitutional claims are not insisted, if the constitutional methods are not adopted, then there is a possibility of an unrest, political disturbances. So in any political society, Ambedkar felt that the key challenge is arbitration of differences. Because we are living in the plural society. It is not an homogeneous society. So when we are living in the plural society, the differences, the presence of differences is bound to be there. So how to manage, how to engage with these differences, that was the major concern. So he wanted to have conversation between the law and democracy. When he was talking about the constitutional morality, he was not just stressing on the constitutional framework, the legal provisions. He was talking about the spirit of the constitution, the idea of the constitution. And what was that idea of constitution? What was the spirit of the constitution? That was the constitutional morality. And he wanted to have dialogue between law and democracy. Law, there is a legal framework, but in democracy, there are many actors. There are many agencies. And those agencies are not necessarily, having dialogue with each other. There might be some kind of a conflict of interest, ideological, political, social, cultural, ethical, any sorts of differences would be there. Because the very survival of the plural society is based on these differences. So Ambedkar wanted to reconcile, negotiate, critically engage with these differences. And this engagement, Ambedkar felt that is possible when there is an adherence to the constitutional morality. And because of that, he said, the formal framework of democracy is of no value and would indeed be a misfit if there was no social democracy. He did not talk only about political democracy, he wanted to have social democracy. So norms, themes of social democracy, the principles of social democracy should be incorporated in the political democracy, and for that constitutional morality would be, the principle of constitutional morality would be helpful. And when he was talking about this democratic political system, he felt that there should not be police state. There should not be an authoritarian political system. And lastly, I would like to conclude by saying that his political democracy, he felt that it should be based on social and economic democracy. And because of that, his politics was, the philosophy of his politics was based on, this constitutional morality and the various dimensions of this constitutional morality, the concept of or values of constitutional morality are very brilliantly discussed by Professor Bagchi. So it was really an enriching experience to listen to him, Professor. And again, I'm thankful to Professor Hemangi Kallar for arranging this talk in contemporary times when this theme of constitutional morality is very much in crisis. Thank you very much.
Now the floor is open for question and answer or comments. Anybody has?
Online.
Online will be still skills. If you get online. No, file. If they have. Huh? No, then. हाँ then. किसी को है कुछ comments, question, doubt?
If first we'll take online, then we'll.
No, I think they will not.
They just research.
Yeah, they.
I don't have a question, but just.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you, Professor Bagchi. I'm Ashok. I'm studying masters at the Open Institute of Politics and Economics. Thank you for this insightful and enriching session. I just studying political economy now, and understanding political economy. Now I can understand how the center is restricting the budgeting autonomy to the states and how it is impacting on the lives of people. A lot of people are matlab they are just getting benefits from the treaties and a lot of political schemes, which is essentially they are targeting for the votes only. But the center or state, they are not trying to improve the lives of people, and they are not treating them as the stakeholders of the society, stakeholders of the state. That's just one observation, and they are using the different tools to just use them.
Well, that's neoclassical economy at its best, at its worst, rather. Martin Friedman. I mean, the state no longer act as a kind of buffer between the people and the market. Well, and they are aggressively, I mean, many states and the central government, I must tell you, must admit that they are aggressively actually implementing this kind of neoclassical economy, and there is no place of Keynesian economics nowadays. So, as a student of political economy, you can understand that, well, no more state funding. State will actually see whatever is going on, but state won't fund anything. You will have to give user fee for every sort of services. So that it's worse. I mean, but well, Europe and not even America doesn't go in this way. I mean, they don't levy user fee for every services. I've been there for a long time in Canada and in Europe. I found that most of the social services are free. So that's it. I mean, they are actually trying to shed off the burden, or rather burden for, least responsibility, maximum power. That is the kind of thing that is there. I mean, it actually goes against constitutional morality. I mean, during the partition era, there was a kind of idea of the kind of confederation of five states, and there should be a kind of overseeing central government, and the Nehru and Vallabhbhai Patel rejected because of the strong center. Otherwise, they won't be able to rule the country. But at the same time, I must say that strong center doesn't mean the kind of bulldozing sort of states, powers, and all those things. So West Bengal has been the sufferer for a very long time for the freight equalization and other things, because that also goes against constitutional morality. I mean, it's true. Indian constitution doesn't build on neoliberalism or neoclassical economy. It was more of a kind of Keynesian form of economics that was there. And of course, our initial leader funded heavily on the public institutions. And public profit and private profit has different meaning. Private profit goes to the private pocket. Public profit goes to the infrastructure and other things. So Ambedkar, Babasaheb, Nehru, and all those people envisage this kind of public profit.
The gap is widening very rapidly between the citizens and the government. What government wants and citizens needs. There is a mismatch.
Well, of course, I mean, mismatch has always been there. Now the mismatch is kind of unassailable. I mean, the gap cannot be put. I mean, only thing that most of the governments are really think of, that is the winning an election by whatsoever means. It's there in the states, it's there in the center. So that's the way it is. I mean, yes. Thank you. Is there any other comments or ideas? Hmm.
Yeah. So it's a time for a vote of thanks. As we come to the close of this insightful, enriching session on constitutional morality, the enduring legacy of Babasaheb, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, it is my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks. First and foremost, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished guest speaker, Professor Bagchi sir. Your illuminating talk has not only deepened our understanding of constitutional morality, but also reminded us of Dr. Ambedkar's timeless vision that democracy must rest on ethical conduct, civic responsibility, and respect for the rule of law. Your reflections on the Supreme Court's interpretation of constitutional morality and its role in safeguarding justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity were truly thought provoking. I really like the public and constitutional morality versus public morality. Uh, who wins? That is very important. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation to our respected Mrs. Sanjeevani Muzumdar Madam, the Dean and the administrative staff for their continuous support and encouragement in organizing academic activities under the Dr. Ambedkar chair. I also would like to thank Professor Surinder Jodhler sir for uh, for really timely saying yes. And it was just coincidence. I sent a message, and sir called me and he said that I will attend. So I said that, sir, please do not attend, but you chair the session. So therefore, and sir is always like a father figure, what I really feel. And he's always stood throughout like 2 years, and now also, whenever I ask, sir is always there. And like he's very humble and very polite and very kind of caring and nurturing person. So it's always been like a father figure to me. So thank you, sir. A special vote of thanks to my PhD research scholars Dipali and Mona Lisa for being strong supporters and participants who joined us today. Your presence, attention, and engagement reflect your commitment to uphold the constitutional values that form the foundation of our democracy. Very like before this talk, our some head we were just discussing, like, and then he was just telling like, you just arrange only talks, and there is no ground realities happening. There is no reflection on the ground. So and it's really important like what we talked that we should practice. Otherwise then we get such kind of criticism or such kind of inputs from other people, like you just arrange the talk but there is no ground reality happening, or there is no change in the reality. And he was also telling that there is lot more issues in the rural area, and who will address that. So our talks should not be only talk, but it should be like principle, or it should be like way of our life, and it should reflect in your behavior, in your day-to-day kind of interaction, or day-to-day kind of collaboration, or the way we handle each other's, or the way we handle each other's emotions or each other's problems. My gratitude also goes to the technical support staff and students, volunteers who dedicated efforts ensured the smooth and conduct of this event. As we conclude, let us carry forward the message of today's lecture to internalize the spirit of constitutional morality in our thoughts, actions, public life, and to contribute towards building a society envisioned by Babasaheb, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, on that is truly just, equal, and human. Wherever I go for talk, there always I like insist. There are three things are very important from your very from school age or from very young age. That is, one is start your constitution, learning the constitution and implement, or not only we should address our rights, but at the same time we should also think of how we can deliver our duties. So there is somewhere missing, and it is happening from like top to bottom, I can say that. The second is very important, like to teach sociology, where will clear the thought, or will clear the concept of gender and your caste, because everything is rooted in the caste, at least in the Indian context. And the third is very important, the financial literacy. People really are suffering wherever we go, and the finance is very important day to day life. I'm talking to you, that is also, it's because of we have finance. So financial literacy is very important. So it's wherever I go, I really insist the three important things. So thank you all once again for your valuable time and participation. Jai Bhim.